Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Morning.
My throat has been a mess as of late, but welcome back to Wrath and Glory. We are the that you all know and love, Unlucky Rolls. Thank you for coming back.
Oh my god.
I'm sure.
There is no evidence to the contrary. We are the best and most professional channel. We are here to play some more Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory with the crew of the Blackstone. Last time, we woke up the fucking Necrons that are in the system underneath some of these worlds.
Well, you woke up one Necron who promised
You
to
woke
wake
up
all the other
we
Necrons.
basically woke up the Necrons by waking up the one Necron who is going to wake up the Necron. So by proxy. Proxy.
Yeah.
So technicality, yes, you're right. I was just trying to quick summarize it, and now I've had to explain the whole entire thing, so you've eliminated the entire point. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good. It's exactly what I would. It's exactly the shit I would pull, so I can't even blame you.
Yeah. So to summarize the greater universe a little bit, you guys arrived at Karsoka to find that there was this Imperial Guard Admiral Milik Al-Asafar, who had used techno heresy from the Necron Tomb World to inject his essence into the dark suns that you see before you. And so he's able to project himself anywhere that the suns claim influence, including onto the bridge, including onto the dining room of the Blackstone, where he just teleported around as if it was nothing. His body doesn't exist there, according to Miras when he looked at him, his warp signature. It's a very strange situation. He claimed to be like one with a Catan inside of the star. And so, you guys know Necrons hate Catan, so you've took the Necron on your ship and woke it up to see if it would do anything, and it turned out to be a Necron Lord, or Overlord, actually. And he made a deal with Gizmek, speaking the Necron language, and is currently floating towards your fighter bay in order for a royal procession down to the planet.
Yeah, very, very royal.
Yeah. In his mind, any procession is a royal procession because he's on it. So
that's just some technicality shit. I would expect nothing less from the Necrons.
Yeah, that's their technicality shit is like their whole life. So
that's why court takes so fucking long. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Court.
And yeah, so the current plan was to have Chrono and Saphar's assistant. What's her name? Ira. Join him on the shuttle down to the planet, and they were going to go look for a Webgate gate that they know is there as well, to try and get the Dark Eldar to show up. And they're basically just trying to like start like a Royal Rumble in the system between like every faction.
Yeah.
You know that one Dane Cook joke about how like he was in an elevator, the doors opened, and then all he sees is one guy just screaming at a group of people, "Bye! Kiss my ass!" And then he gets into the elevator. Everyone looks horrified. The guy gets into the elevator, and Dane Cook is alone with him. And then the shit that goes through his mind is like, okay, in a panic, he thinks, if I act more irrational and angry and upset than him, it will diffuse the situation, because then he'll be trying to calm me down. I feel like that's kind of what we're doing. Like,
basically, yes.
We're trying to diffuse the situation by making it as bad as possible.
But like times 4, because you're bringing like 4 bad situations together.
Yeah, we're
Yep.
basically the entire plan has been first off Necrons to deal with them. Then we're also going after the Drucharii in some capacity because we have somebody who's actually related to one of the Drucharii in the area, to our knowledge.
Potentially. And
This nerd up here on the overlay. And then we're also banging around the idea of bringing some chaos cultists in the area. So.
who have a fucking demon weapon?
Guys, I think we're gonna get in trouble.
If I
I
cared about those kinds of things, this would be grade A
Who do
heresy.
you think is going to fuck us over the most? The fucking Chaos Cultists, the Necrons, or the Drucharii?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even think it matters after what happens.
One of those factions is going to come out like ahead, and then they're just going to be like fucking blazing across the galaxy because all of them are capable of traveling around.
Yeah.
Whereas the Imperium is not. They've already.
Well, if the Necrons win, they're promised not to harm us while we're on our ship. Whether or not they actually keep that promise is a different thing.
At the same time, I'm not sure if Necron. Do you think that Necrons use the webway or do they use their weird teleporter stuff?
They use
They
a
got their own
different
shit.
type of hyperspace that is like some super crazy high-tech technology that no one understands.
It's a completely different thing separate from the warp. Like, Necrons basically have nothing to do with the warp. They don't give a shit about it. It's like meaningless to them.
They have no souls in the warp either, so fucking chaos hates their guts.
I was basically asking if it was more like they were just also using the webway or if they were using the weird stuff in Battlefield Gothic.
No, they have their own system. They don't use the Eldar webway, or the webway would have been taken over by now. So
Oh yeah.
Probably.
yeah. I mean, Necrons are a lot scarier in the lore than they are on like the tabletop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Also, I do want to, doesn't the webway have like a mind of its own to an extent where if it doesn't want you to get somewhere, then you won't get there?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that.
It can sort of temporally screw with you. It can just dump you out sort of wherever it feels like. The webway does have a mind of its own.
Yeah.
The webway has a personality, and that personality is dick.
So I'm gonna start the session today with Saphar and Ida and Chrono down in the shuttle deck.
Saphar, Ida, and
Saphar and Chrono are the same person.
Yeah.
Saphar and Ida.
Yeah.
Just them.
Ida,
Just
Chrono.
those two.
Sator too. Sator was going to be there too.
Sator is not going to go because one, he's a human, so at best he would get
right. No, you're not in the shuttle. You're talking to Ira.
Yeah.
That's what the first thing's going to be.
This is like on the edge of the bay before they leave.
Yeah. This is like the turnaround to say goodbye part, right?
If anything, the biggest reason for Sator to not go is that he has a presence in the warp, so that's why he would instantly get fucking beamed into dust.
Eat.
Yeah, like I think Sator wants to go, and Ira just tells him no.
It's like
if you come with me, this will be your last mission.
Yeah, Sator also knows that too because of fucking +2 per rank bonus.
God.
It may be the Harlequin in my last mission too, but I can't sit around and watch the whole universe get plunged into like, we don't need another new god. We got to destroy it while we can.
Well, I suppose that we'll have to find out if our luck is going to run out now yet.
You think we've been lucky up to now?
Well, we are still alive.
She raises up a bit of her like her crop top, and she's got like a huge scar where the Terminator cut into her.
Well, we are still alive, aren't we?
She leans up to you and puts her lip right next to your ear, and she says, if you consider living to be luck. And she like gives you a little like peck on the cheek and then heads down to the shuttle bay.
Yeah. Sator does a small salute and leaves.
Bar is just looking
Alright.
at all this happening with his eyebrows, just like, bobbing up and down, giving Sator, the look, the
Yeah,
look.
like Chrono's down like on the fighter bay floor, waiting for the two of them, and he sees Iroh start to head down, and then out of the corner of his vision, he sees the Necron floating in, and he like stops before the shuttle and like lands. It makes the sound of like a fighter engine whine when he lands, and like the whole sort of deck shakes as his weight hits the ground.
I do want to mention that Sator would have probably mentioned this like when Saphar first got on the ship to Ira to take it easy on him.
Oh god.
Yeah, so the Lord says, so the captain, he actually like says in common, the captain sends you and the other elf to deliver me.
Elf? Wait, we're delivering the Necron?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. I am deep. Okay, first and foremost, I'm deeply unnerved by this thing. I am still young. I'm quite young for an Eldar, and I've never seen a Necron before. All I've heard are essentially boogeyman horror stories. Like, essentially, this is essentially like meeting like the stories older people will tell you to scare you as a child. So
you're basically meeting like Michael Myers, except for your entire culture.
You are meeting basically Michael Myers, except that you have to fucking carry him in a carriage to send him.
Yeah. You literally just like have Michael Myers on the side of the road. You're meeting him for the first time, and you're hearing all these horror stories, and you have to give him a ride as a hitchhiker.
Not only do you have to give him a ride, you have to give him a ride to go wake up 1 billion of his closest friends.
Yeah, you're literally taking Tim to Michael Myers strip.
You have to drive him to an insane asylum. You're like the Uber driver who got roped into this. You're like, oh boy. And you just,
oh god.
And you just staring at your phone, wondering if that 5 stars is worth it.
So do you say anything to him? He, as I recall, he also has like a big, like glowy green crown that he like he created on his brow from his skull. He's got little bitty like scarabs running all over his body all the time, and he's got like a mono-weave like green, flowy like cloth cloak that he like also replicated out of his body.
God.
He's also carrying his giant war scythe. That like it pulses with like a deadly intent. You know?
Yeah.
And just like something about it is just terrifying just to be near it, you know? It wasn't active before when Gizmek had it. It was just like inert. But now it's like it's full of dark energies.
This is first off, before I say anything, there is a distinct pause while I size him up and really take in just how out of my depth I am. This is the first time, through this entire campaign, where I feel genuinely inferior and afraid of somebody. Even in the presence of, like, full-blown space marines, there's still that Eldar arrogance of, haha, I will succeed due to my speed, or some shit. But this guy, he looks so intimidating. And Eldar can sense an entity's sort of, aura in the warp. There's nothing for this guy. Looking at this guy, it feels like looking at both something horrifying and magnanimous, but also like a hole in reality. And it's disturbing.
It's extremely. It's very disturbing. It's even more disturbing when he like leans down and looks at you and he says, Does something have your tongue, Elf?
Just
You've
No,
been sitting
no.
there sweating in your boots for the last 10 minutes.
just
Wait, Necrons even comprehend what minutes are? How?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got time clocks in their bodies, so they know how long a minute is. They know it to a precision.
I would like to, even if I have to use Wrath Point, interrupt the scene real quick to come over the intercom real quick.
You can do that if you whatever you want, Trisky.
So, you guys hear the crackling of the intercom, just like, hello, hello, is thing on? Hey, kids, you may want to buckle up. I'm about to press the red button. All right, bye. Click.
So
Think of that as that is our cue to leave.
my parting words right before he says that is I just sort of give him a curt smile and say, just reviewing all the events that have led me up to this exact situation.
And with that, the red button fires off, and you guys just blast out the door that's barely open enough for you to reach through it.
Yeah. Part of me saying that was reflecting on what was about to happen with the door. Like,
Yeah, I think no. Like the Ira and you and the Lord get aboard the shuttlecraft, and the shuttlecraft leaves the docking bay, and then the Blackstone like blasts into the distance,
yeah.
leaving the three of you sort of stranded in space. Ira heads up to the cockpit and begins to pilot the pod down to the planet.
How long until planetfall?
Oh, probably like 30 minutes, maybe an hour.
Okay.
30 minutes of awkward silence.
No, at this point, I feel like I'd have managed to swallow my balls back down out of my throat and into proper position. Turn and actually ask the Necron Lord a question.
Sure. He's staring at you with glowering hatred, you know?
I lean back, sort of. We're sitting in front of him, right? Like he's sitting behind us.
I think the two of you are sitting in the back of the pod. He's not sitting; he's standing. But you could be sitting if you'd like.
So I sort of lean back in the chair, cross one leg over the other, and having regained at least a little bit of my composure and wanting to not look like a complete punk. So, tell me, man of living metal, tell me about the war in heaven. And I sort of just try to pry him for whatever information he knew about what the ancient Eldari were like the truly ancient Eldari, and what happened during the war in heaven.
Through the very evil green tinted glasses of a Necron.
Through the very, really fucking biased viewpoint.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The war in heaven... Yep.
He loves to gloat,
What?
And so he's going to gloat about the war in heaven.
Yeah.
And how, him and his people were enslaved by these evil monstrosities that had the power of gods. And the Necron tier, managed to trick them and absorb all of their power. And now they are the masters of the universe.
I debate asking him, I want to make a smarmy comment about, well, then why is it you decided to just go to sleep for 1,000,000 years instead of taking your rightful place and leaving it to us? But then, at the same time, I have enough good sense to not antagonize this person, because if there's two of us in the shuttlecraft, that means one of us is disposable. Between Ira and I.
So he says, he'd actually respond to that question, right?
Okay.
He would say,
Fuck, can he read my thoughts?
You don't know.
You probably are displaying your thoughts fairly visually on your face.
I am an Eldar, yeah. Maybe you raise an eyebrow. It's like a cocked eyebrow or something like that.
Yeah, you hit him with the eyebrow or whatever. And you're like, what? It's sort of like a "why aren't you ruling right now" sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Really?
And he says, and he genuinely laughs. It's kind of a grating like sound, like nails on a chalkboard. But instead of a chalkboard, it's like a metal sheet, you know.
Yeah.
And he says, "The king commanded that we all wait for him to return before we take our place, and he has finally returned." And he just like smiles at you.
Like, there's this like, when is it the Silent King returned? How, like, around what time did he come back?
Around this time.
Like right around the tail end of M41.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the Cicatrix malediction brought him back to the galaxy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So he hits you with that little tidbit as he like, his smile gets so wide that it starts to warp like his like skeleture, you know?
Jesus. I visibly shudder. I can't even keep my composure in front of that. I visibly shudder.
And with that little tidbit, the shuttle finally lands on the planet. It's like a desolate wasteland that for some reason has an atmosphere. And so he tips his crown to you and Ira, and then just like floats away into the distance.
Much to my both concern and relief. Like I lean over to Ira and I give her a look and say in essentially poetically in Eldari, like in some sort of rhyming saying or something, that's going to be a problem, isn't it?
I think all speech between you and Ira going forth will all be in Eldari.
For this period.
Yeah, and she says, I've seen Holtz get into worse positions and make it away, but we do not know how much he has in the planet. This could be the end of all of us. Our mission has to be successful.
Nod it. I nod with understanding. Yes, we do need to be successful, but also I do take a moment to think back on Holtz's, massive chutzpah, we'll call it, for his maneuver on the battle plan on the Titan
on Yurden, yeah.
On Yurden, and I think I'm like, I have faith in Holtz. If there's anyone on this half of the galaxy, I have faith in Holtz to have something up his sleeve.
Okay,
you laughed, having no plan.
Miris, I'm going to have you take over Ira from this point on.
Yeah. I'll mostly probably describe what she does instead of voice acting, but yeah. Also, I want to mention that from her perspective, we probably had something worse than this before because we dealt with, the Slaneshi Chaos Sorceress before. So,
It depends on your perspective.
That would be scarier, but not as much of a fucking existential threat to this half of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we weren't in this half of the galaxy at that point, so we didn't give a shit about it.
Good point.
Yeah. Anyways.
So the two of you...
I forgot one thing that I want to mention. Are we just going to have it so that it's only you and Ira who are going, or do you also want some other guys that are basically just slaves for the Drucharii to capture?
Yeah. I forgot about that. Fuck.
Yeah, there was a couple of prisoners you have locked up on the shuttle.
I was more thinking of fooling them into thinking that they'll do guard duty temporarily. Meanwhile, their last pistols or last guns or whatever are actually dysfunctional. Yeah.
Oh, you can do it that way as well, instead of having to drag them around.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. And that will probably please the Drucharii even more when they do get you to.
If you read the Path of the Renegade book, Drucharii fucking loved that. That they would think that a very nice touch. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what? These guys care. These guys really go the extra mile. It's like writing your own note in a birthday card instead of just giving them the pre-written one. These guys care. They go the extra mile. Sure, we'll help you.
Okay, so instead of like prisoners, it's like actual guards from the ship that you're gonna give away.
It's probably like either guards who are like really close to being close, who are like really fucking dangerous anyway.
I think the best would be like people who maybe they're not straight up prisoners, like they're a penal battalion.
Yeah, either penal battalion or troublemaker. I feel like some troublemakers from the guards we have and such would be better because
like you ask the sergeants like which members of your guard would you be happy didn't make it back from this mission?
So like, who is replaceable? If someone was gonna die in combat and you wouldn't cry, who would that be hypothetically?
Yeah, so those guys were in that cargo bay that whole time looking at you and the Necron like interact, and like the moment the Necron leaves, one of them turns to the other and goes, that is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The other one goes, I need a new pair of pants after what he said.
Oh,
he's about to see even worse.
And they all look at Saphar and they go, are we gonna be okay?
You'll live. Because technically they will live. They're just gonna wish they hadn't. So
yeah, they look at you askance and they're like, fucking Eldar bullshit. They get up and they start to like load all their like equipment up. And
they're essentially toy squirt guns.
Yeah, and head out with you. So go ahead.
Go ahead. And what
you were saying something?
Oh, I was saying it's through this point, through this long walk through the wasteland with our quote unquote honor guard / chattel. I start to ply Ira with a few questions because up until this moment, I realize, despite the fact that her and I are the only Eldar on the ship, we've never actually properly spoken or heard where we come from. Like, this is the first time in a while I've heard like the Drucharii accent. Like, let's just say this is like between someone with like, I don't know, like a hardcore Texan accent and someone with a hardcore German accent. Like it sounds weird, both speaking the same language.
So the main difference is that one language has 50 different versions of torture to say.
Yeah, that's called Italian. They have 50 different words for noodle.
Oh god, yeah.
Is Ira Italian?
Yeah.
But okay, like that aside, I take the moment to ply Ira with a few casual questions just to break the silence as we walk toward whatever this is. This entire clusterfuck. I say, so you're quite familiar with Holtz and Sator. How did that come about? How did you meet these people? And like, how long have you been here? And yada yada. Like, because I wouldn't know. Because I'm a traveler. I'm gonna end up places. But her, like, you're a Drucharii. You're not. This isn't really what you guys do.
I think that Ira has been on the ship for around 1 to 2 years. Because I think that we got her pretty early on in the Rogue Trader, actually. And at the same time, with like skipping from original Rogue Trader to this, some time would have passed, so around a year and a half, most likely.
Yeah, I think it's been about 6 months since the campaign began. Give or take, considering that the warp travel is weird.
Yeah. And for how she got on the ship, it's basically mostly Sator vouching for her to that he'll be responsible for whatever she does on the ship and all of that.
I see.
because most people aren't inclined to trust a Drucharii, of course.
Yeah, understandable. Like how did and then it leads to a further follow-up question. How did you meet Sator, like of all people? No offense to Sator. Like Saphar likes Sator, but like it's a genuine question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Sator. The funny thing is that the only reason she's even alive is because we sort of wanted at least one captive when we were. Okay, so Ira was originally with a raiding group of Drucharii to a feudal planet to, have fun, then commit genocide.
Girls'
They
night.
they were Dark Elder that were stranded on this medieval, like, feudal world that were raiding local tribes and whatnot.
It was basically her and her mother and some other Drucharii. And while they were raiding, I think a rogue trader came by and basically deactivated their gate because he wanted the gate to the... How the fuck did I forget what it's called right now?
Webway?
Yeah, their gate to
He
the
stole
webway
the power supply from their webway gate.
Oh, gosh.
And they were stuck there for, I think, like 200 years or something.
Oh, God.
I don't remember for sure. And also they were like a race of what we called chickens that basically is like... I imagine them as pretty big chickens that are usually not too harmful, but they eat metal, and if you try to fight them off too much, they will sort of just swarm you.
Oh, God. Yes, Legend of Zelda.
Yep, so the only fucking weapons that they had left was like Ira's mother's armor and her agonizer, and she had like another armor set in her tent pretty much, which is what Ira is wearing right now.
I see.
And basically Sator, while fighting, Sator captured Ira and basically had to threaten her into standing the fuck down.
By the way, I want to interject one thing. I was away for a second, but this is very important. They didn't look at chickens. They looked like mini raptors. They were only called chickens because of the limited Terra-based like storybooks and fantasy things that the locals had on hand, and they mentioned chickens at one point, so they decided to name them chickens. The tribes on that planet of humans were named like orcs, goblins, whatnot, etc., based on fantasy tropes and whatnot. And we mostly dealt with the goblins, and they were dumbasses, and the orcs were Canadian.
And everyone else was, actually had a brain. Meanwhile, the Drucharii were exclusively, seemingly, mostly raiding the goblins, probably because they were easy pickings.
The goblins were dumbasses. And we didn't know it until the very end.
Whenever they had a fucking psyker child, they would just fucking suicide throw them at their camp.
Oh.
So that's the only problem they've had pretty much until we arrived.
To be fair, during the Age of Strife, it was those planets that fared the best.
Yeah.
The ones that just threw their psychic babies off a cliff.
Yeah. And yeah, Sator captured Ira and so on and so forth. There was also a demon there who scared her and because she fucked up her fear check and Sator had to knock her out.
I see.
But moving past the background lore to the present.
Background lore is good.
Yeah.
So the group of you come across like a bit of a mountain range with some caves at the base. And like you've been sort of wandering, following this like magnetic sense Eldar have towards the webway, and this makes sense where they would be hidden, be in these caves. And so you begin to head in, and the cave entrance goes from like rocky to a very like even metal cylinder very quickly. Maybe after only 2 or 3 minutes of heading down the cave. And then as you guys weave around in this metal cylinder, you begin to see more and more evidence of like Necron technology. So there's like these like green, geometric shapes in the walls that are glowing like a green energy. And eventually you reach a large chamber with the webway gate like in the center of it, and all along the edges of the chamber are sleeping Necrons.
Oh, fuck.
And there's maybe like 10,000 of them in here.
Oh my god. I suddenly want to get off the planet very quickly. I'm thinking, okay, let's pick up the pace and not touch anything. I specifically lean back towards these troublesome guardsmen and say, touch nothing.
And as you guys approach the webway gate, which is open, and when you look through it, you see a white, like shiny hallway. It takes you guys maybe 10 to 15 minutes to even get down to it. That's how large this chamber is. And as you guys are maybe like 5 minutes away from the gate, you look over and you see one of the Necrons is like starting to vibrate.
Oh no!
Like, and as you look at him, you can see that there is like green energy coming to his like sleeping pod on the ground, and it's starting to like trickle up into his pod. And as you look around, you see this green energy on the floor like begin to ooze through these grooves in the floor towards the different pods in the room.
No. There is a moment of I seize up for like a solid second and wonder if I should like try and stop it. Like, should I try and like, I don't know, try and interrupt the feed or something? But then I essentially turn around like a stressed out kindergarten teacher towards the group of guardsmen, clap my hands together, and quick stakes, children, everyone go quickly. And then we just start, basically break into a light run through this group.
Yeah, so the group of you, break into a run, a sprint, and you guys make it to the webway gate. And as you do, you can see the whole room is sort of beginning to vibrate. Like dust is starting to like come from the ceiling, right? The green energy on the floor is getting so bright that it's actually like difficult to see in this chamber. And you can see in the distance, like one of the Necrons in like one of the corners of the room is actually starting to move and starting to like break himself out of his pod as you guys make it through the gate.
God.
And so the group of you run into this white hallway, and Saphar, either you or Ira will turn around and disable the gate, as you know how to do. And so the gate, like you see the Necron like chamber disappear, replaced with more like a white hallway. So you got a white hallway going in both directions.
Oh Jesus! I feel like
it is absurdly bright, and as the energy like feeds into your eyes. Suddenly you're not in a white corridor anymore, but you're more in like a forest.
Right.
With trees like basically lined up alongside you, and there's a path that leads in both directions. And you guys can hear like the sounds of like weird, like tropical alien like birds and stuff in the distance.
The weird shit like creatures that live in the webway.
Yeah.
There's a moment to give like a long exhale because
the guardsmen are like panting, and one of them looks visibly shaken by what they just saw. And what does Ira look like right now, Sator? Or Amiris?
Yeah. Probably at least slightly shaken, but at the same time she needs to keep moving.
Makes sense.
Trying not to think about it and just focusing on getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
For her specifically, it's probably safer with her own kind, pretty much,
Probably.
than waiting for the fucking Necrons to open up the gate again. Especially since she's a fucking trueborn.
Yeah. So, what do you guys do?
I'm noticeably more shaken, so I do take a second to compose myself and right myself, and just reflect on how this has been a lot lately. Like everything that has just transpired between finding the Necron, waking it up, and now this is a lot. And I try to sort of push back the thoughts of how the fuck am I going to get back, or are Ira and I going to get back? And what's that planet going to be like on our way back up? How are we going to do that? I just try to not think about it.
Saphar is just realizing in how much deep shit he's in.
Yeah. I just realized, I'm in the thick of it now.
But I honestly want to ask, by this point, did you want to fucking take the book with you too to try to deliver it back or no?
I don't think we're even close at that point. Like, because that's the thing. I still have no idea where my troop currently is, and we're not going to be in the webway for long.
Yeah. At the same time, I think that the plan is to leave the webway through a different web gate, I think. Because especially with all those Necrons, it's just, and we probably cannot wait for you either with what's his face being annoyed at us still sticking around.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So so the two of you and the group start to travel down one of these paths, just to get like a lay of the metaphysical land, as it were. And one thing gets you guys very spooked. As you come around the corner, you see a Eldar aspect warrior, like a dire avenger, stabbed through the chest by this like large flagpole, and on the top tip of the flagpole is Drucharii's symbol that you saw before. It's an eagle with a bloody handprint. And in its one of its talons is like an aspect warrior helmet.
Yeah. So Drucharii is one of those kinds who is perfectly fine hunting other Eldari, because some Drucharii actually do have a compunction about that, where they don't like fighting or hunting craftworlders, but some are completely fine with it.
Yeah,
they will raid fucking Exodite worlds. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, Drucharii in general don't care. There's a lot of Drucharii slaves in Kamara.
It looks like this body has been here for some time. It's not decomposing because it's in the webway.
Yeah. But it looks weathered. Like the armor looks dirty and weathered.
It looks well dead.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was dead. My first thought was the second the shape came into view, I immediately, blink of an eye, drew my long rifle and aimed it down range before realizing the thing's dead and pinned up. And then noticing the symbol on the banner, I'm like, oh shit. again, being reminded of my mom and realizing how much danger I might be in.
Yeah,
I don't think the little golden domino mask is going to really cover my identity all that much.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to make me a
willpower or
resolve
whatever
check
special.
against fear.
Let's see.
Like difficulty 2.
Where is that one?
It's in combat.
Yeah, it's in
On the right.
combat. It's on the right under mutations.
Difficulty 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got
So
fear.
you're gonna gain the fear condition, and I'm gonna get a ruin.
What does the fear condition do for me?
If you click
Plus
on
1.
it, you can see what it says, but it's 2 difficulty number to all tests until the end of the scene.
It says you do not have permission to view this journal entry sheet.
Same.
Oh, weird. Show players. There we go.
Yeah. I thought there was a. Oh yeah, sometimes it's normally a +2, but you made it +1 to me once during first session because I.
It was just a
on
light
telephone.
fear.
Yeah.
It was a light fear. Yeah.
Meanwhile, for this, it's yeah.
This is a little more close to home for Saphar.
Yeah.
So how does Saphar react to this like creeping terror, like that's like coming up his like spine?
Yeah, like at this point, like I'm starting to break out in a sweat. Like it's on my brow. I wipe my hands on my cloak thing. It's like, you know, like it's setting in, and I do not put the rifle away. That shit stays out as we walk, even though I'm fully aware it's making the guardsmen all the more anxious. They're probably like, you know, that gif of a bunch of flamingos like walking around in a horde and just looking everywhere.
Yeah, they're like spooked. They're looking in every direction. They don't know where they are. You know, they're just following the two of you, hoping that the two of you know where you're going.
Meanwhile, Ira is probably like, well, we're going the right direction.
Yeah, I'm following Ira, and Ira's following me. So,
so you're traveling down this path a little more, and eventually you reach a larger like clearing, and in this clearing is a. It looks like a tower, but as you look up to see where the tower ends, it just doesn't end. It just goes forever and like starts to bend at like right angles and like go like geometrically up into the sky.
yeah, it's like that. It's that non-Euclidean geometry shit, or the non-Euclidean architecture shit that H.P. Lovecraft was talking about.
Yeah, but this is, you know, Dark Eldar architecture to a T.
Yeah,
It's stark. It's black. It's got like prisoners like tied up all around it. A couple of them are still alive. There's like the screaming that just seems to be coming from every direction. You or Ira are going to need to make like a leadership check to keep the men from just like breaking.
Oh boy. Should I do it or should I do it? Because
Leadership is based on willpower.
Yeah, I think that you will probably have a better willpower than Ira.
Yeah, but I also have a fear condition.
At the same time, Ira did spend fucking 200 years on a shitty planet.
Well, the two of you are both going to need to roll. Saphar, go ahead and roll leadership. It was going to be difficulty.
Sorry.
It was going to be difficulty 1, but it's difficulty 3 because you're terrified. But you pass anyway.
So difficulty 3.
Yeah. So you got 4 successes. So you're good.
Oh,
nice. How many should I roll for Ira? Because we don't really have.
You don't need to roll, right? I was only going to be roll if Saphar failed, and I was just going to give you a number of dice to roll.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then, so what do you say to the guardsmen as you see them spook up at the sight of this this spire of death?
I wheel around and tell them, becalm yourselves, guardsmen. You are soldiers of the Corpse Emperor. Specifically forgetting to call him the Emperor of Man, the Corpse Emperor.
Yeah, one of them looks at you angrily, and then the rest of them sort of are pulled back into their bodies by your statement and steel themselves. But they're still looking around, really spooked.
Yeah, fucking understandable. I would be too.
Ira
they're just mad at me.
Ira probably face palms when you say Corpse Emperor.
I blasphemed in front of them and it snapped them out of it.
Saphar, can you make me an awareness test? Difficulty 2?
So it's 4, but that's done automatically.
So it's 4. Right.
It's done automatically. So
oh shit.
You could reroll that.
Would you like to use a wrath to reroll?
I think it might be more interesting if I don't, but
it's up to you.
I'm genuinely okay, I'll reroll.
Alright. Right click on it and then it's left click on it or right click on it and then you do reroll all there.
There we go.
There you got the complication instead. There you go.
Oh, great. I love it.
Oh no.
Also remember to pre-move his.
Yeah. My hubris.
Yeah.
And you can't shift anything, so you only have 5 successes. Okay.
Yeah.
So you hear an engine whine in the distance. And you've heard this sound before. It is definitely the sound of a raiding party returning.
Oh boy.
What do you do?
I hear the raiding party return. On reflex, I order everyone to back up and hide behind the tree line.
Okay, so everyone scatters into the tree line.
The nearby tree line facing the clearing, maybe a few rows of trees back.
Yeah.
I specifically tell them don't come out until my signal. Until our signal.
So are you going to stay? Are you and Ira going to stay in the open? Or are the two of you jumping back behind the tree line too?
It would be better for us to stay confidently out in the open, because if we just hop out of nowhere, they might take that as some kind of challenge, or it could trigger a fight. So Ira and I have to stay out in the open.
I have one question. Would it be important for Ira to have her to have the agonizer with her instead of the power sword that she normally has? Because Drucharii are
Drucharii have power swords.
All right.
Yeah, that's a thing that they're cavalry warrior sergeants can take.
Mostly if you get her some more.
Was she a Kabbalite or a witch?
She's a witch.
She was a witch? Okay, then probably she would have the agonizer with her, because it would be it's not. Is it a human power sword or a Drucharii power sword?
It's a human one. That's why.
That would look bad.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it's a fucking
optics.
A power sword, and she does also have I forgot the Eldar pistol, a Shuriken pistol with her, but yeah. So probably Ira and Sator switch their weapons for this until she probably gets back, because yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, over the tree line flies in a looks like a sci-fi pirate ship, a raider, flanked by a couple of Drucharii on these razor hoverboards. that also have like a jet engine on them.
The Hellion ones.
Yeah. And they have like a wicked set of like a dual blade like glaive that they're wielding. And then on the Raider, you can see a number of dark armored warriors with nasty looking rifles sort of posted all along the edges. The sail has the same image on it, the eagle with the bloody handprint. And it lands next to the spire. The two Hellions spot the two of you and fly over in your direction and begin to like circle around you in like a threatening manner.
At this point, I have my hood up, and I've sort of tried to use my long hair to cover, like, put it in front and try and obscure as much of my face as possible. Sort of, emo haircut, hair over the left eye, the hood up as much as possible. Trying to obscure my features as much as possible.
At the same time, you're a Harlequin, so it's like they probably wouldn't murder you instantly because Harlequins are a bit more special. But yeah.
That's the only thing keeping me up. Because here's the thing, I'm not a full Harlequin. I'm just a Harlequin initiate, a mime. But like the fact that I'm associated with Harlequin might be the only thing that keeps me alive in this situation, and I am fully aware of that.
Yep.
Like back at the Raider, a couple of the like armored warriors are like pulling prisoners with chains around their necks down the plank, and then taking them up to the spire, and then basically installing them against the wall in by like nailing their like hands into the spire.
Oh god.
There's screams in pain. And you look over and you see Ira, like her whole body like perks up. You can see like the hairs on her arm like raise, and there's like a flush color that comes over her as the screams reach across.
I give her a little bit of side eye at that. Like don't enjoy this. Don't be enjoying this.
And one of the armored warriors comes down from the Raider, sees the Hellion circling you two, and then walks up your way. He takes his helmet off. He's, how Drucharii sort of look like vampire elves, that they're like insanely pale. They've got the jet black hair, the like super knifey elf ears, the like sort of melted features of something that's been like, in a metal helmet in hellscape, like a life of dealing with evil, his lips don't really exist. They're just sort of they just like he just has sort of like teeth, and one of his eyes is like a black color,
like the black sclera.
Like it's not like a full eye, and then like his other eye is sort of like a red, he's got like a red iris, and yeah, he's got his helmet under his like the crook of his arm, and he says, "What are the two of you doing here?"
Not wanting to give away too much, I say in a bit of a whispered tone, "The laughing god sends his chosen where he will. But we have business."
Are you here to see the Archon?
Ira would probably have to respond with the fact that they are, and that they have brought some gifts for him too. And do you think that this would be a good time to signal the guardsmen?
Yeah, it's like I make like a sort of a whistle sort of thing, Like I put like 2 fingers up to my mouth, give like a little whistle. Then the guardsmen start like approaching out in lines, guns drawn.
And
they burst out of the cover like like Vietnam War style.
I want to say that Ira, before the signal, would say Ira would probably mention slightly whispery, "Don't worry, their weapons are useless" or something like that.
Probably not even a whisper.
She's gonna give it away right away to the Eldar.
Or I mean, what would they enjoy more if they knew that their weapon? That's like it's probably a bit risky.
Based on like from what I've read in books, Eldar, they want to know that they like it when they know that their prey is helpless, but the prey doesn't know they're helpless.
Yeah,
because they want to see the light leave your eyes when you come to the realization.
That's the thing where it's like. Nice. If the guardsmen come out and they have the guns, they are gonna think that they are getting fucking attacked. Meanwhile, with this, they know that it's like, oh, she's just fucking with them.
Oh, she's fucking with them. She's cool. She's cool. Yeah, didn't know you feel like that.
Yeah, so they burst out of the tree line, screaming bloody murder, and they like get into a firing line, and then they pull the trigger, and nothing happens. They look down at their guns. The Cabalite sergeant just bursts out into laughter as the 2 Hellions do the same, and they like move away from circling around the 2 of you to like circling around the group of them. And they just like go to town on these guys. They like slice like half of them like just in half, and then the other ones just like surrender, and they end up getting like nailed to the wall as well.
Just like in quick succession.
If you watch Ira, she gains like an extra like 2 inches of height after that.
Jesus.
And like her hair is like maybe like 6 inches longer than it was, but you're not really sure.
There's still like a visible difference. Like you look back and she like oh, huh.
Yeah, and then the Cabalite sergeant, like, after he's done nailing the prisoners' walls, comes back up to the 2 of you, and he's got lips again.
Oh god.
Yeah,
but they're like stoked. They have like a black lipstick.
He got yassified.
He's pretty stoked, we could say.
We have his attention.
Shut the fuck up.
Wait, what? Wait, sorry, what was it?
He said they could be pretty stoked, you could say. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Because fucking TTS, but anyways.
Jesus Christ.
So he says, well, if you come bearing gifts, then I'm sure the Archon will be well wary to meet with you. Come with me.
I just realized we're out of gifts. They might want more.
Yeah, so as you like approach the tower, you see that like it's sort of like absorbing the bodies that are nailed to it, like it's sort of like sucking them in, and they're just like screaming in agony as the tower like eats them.
This is doing nothing for me.
Yeah, you're not getting any. Well, I mean, did you used to be a Drucharii or did you not?
No, I never used to be a Drucharii at any point. Like,
I actually think that you would feel this a little bit. Like you would feel like it'd be like getting hit with a boost of caffeine. Like you just had like a glass of like a cup of coffee.
Oh god, that's because here's the thing. I was a craft worlder, like a rambunctious, a precocious youngster. I think from Biltan, I think something to that effect. But no, not. Yeah, I think from some craft world. But then when shit started going badly on the craft world because the whole galaxy was being thrown into flux, my mom and I sort of had a rift grow between us where she wanted to go the route of becoming a Drucharii and started to gain power that way because she was always sort of a mean person. But I wanted sort of my own path and a life of adventure, which is why I became a ranger. And then from there, I met up with the Harlequins.
Yeah, I think that all Eldar like feel that
A little bit.
that wave of energy. It's just that like the Drucharii sort of need it now. They're like addicted to it, you know?
Yeah. Funny thing, that actually works. It works on humans too. Like, there's a certain faction of Inquisitors which experiment with causing pain in the same way Drucharii do, and it actually does work for them to revitalize them and extend their lives. I think they're actually historians. So it does work on humans if you know what you're doing.
So I think you do feel that boost of like, it's like nicotine, right? It's like very addictive. It's a and you get like a little pep in your step. So I'm going to give you +1 to all your stats.
It's something which unsettles me deeply. Like, I know it's like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling energized. Everything's fine. Oh, fuck.
Like, you still have that like deep-seated fear in your stomach that you're about to go see your mom after millennia.
Yeah.
But
I think it's probably been like 10 or 15 years. It has not been long.
Oh, it's not been a super long time? Okay.
It's not, because I'm quite young for an Eldar. I'm probably like no more than 200. I'm not above 200 years old, I don't think.
Okay, cool. So it's not like a huge amount of time. Okay.
Especially by Eldar standards, it has not been long.
Like, you still have that you still have that deep-rooted fear, but you're just a little bit buffed up.
Yeah.
I'm aware of the fact that this is buffing me up, and it unsettles me. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to make a roll. It's gonna be conviction, difficulty 1.
Difficulty 1. Is that against mutation or corruption?
Corruption.
Rolls a 0, becomes addicted.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Difficulty 1.
Yeah.
I do difficulty 1, and it sets it to 3.
Get rid of the fear thing. It's not, the fear doesn't affect this.
Go in stats. In effect, it should be there somewhere where one of the boxes is ticked. You should be able to just disable it.
I found it. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Conviction, corruption, difficulty 1.
Cool. So you feel this like energy like wave over you, but you don't feel a need for any more.
I can quit anytime I want to, which is not now.
Exactly. So they lead you into this tower, and the moment you come through the door,
as someone who used to smoke, I know the feeling. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
no.
the tower is maybe, I don't know, like 50 feet by 50 feet on the outside. But when you go through the door, you enter into a chamber that is at least 300 feet on each side. It's gigantic. It's got like gorgeous what are those like lights in houses like over the entrance?
Not down.
Like,
things with like crystals and stuff. What's that called?
It's dark and It's beautiful, but in like sort of a dark and horrifying kind of way.
Yeah, like a vampire's castle kind of way.
Yeah.
But sci-fi, like a sci-fi vampire's castle. Let's go with that. There's like candelabras on the walls. There's like all manner of like, rich fabrics and rugs and things. There's like all these like very nice sofas all around with like Drucharii lounging around and drinking various extremely pungent wines. In the center, there is a man tied to a rack that's like constantly like stretching his spine. And so there's like a small amount of like, and his voice is like muffled. So when he screams, it just makes like a whoa sound.
Oh, Jesus.
And there is like a little group of Drucharii like playing musical instruments around him, and like he's one of the instruments basically. Like there's one of them that like turns the rack, and like the scream he makes like a sound through the through the like weird audio barrier that they've set up around him, and it like plays into the melody of like the quartet.
God, it's like a brazen bowl.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I avert my eyes from that. Like that, I just sort of subtly look away, not like whip my head around. But yeah, I will look elsewhere. Let's see what's in the room that's not that. I find a lot of the stuff in here excessive and tacky, especially because I'm a little more used to the craft world or austerity. Like it
is beyond like tacky. You know, like it's like dark purple, like made out of multiple different animals from different planets, like pillows like on these couches, you know.
All of them are still alive.
Like someone's using like a hand as like a toothpick to like pick their teeth, and it's like a human hand.
Jesus.
It's like maybe
ineffectual.
Well, the fingernails are like grown to be extremely long and pointy.
I see.
You
gotta get some big gap ass teeth.
And as you like watch him like pick his teeth with it, you can see the hand sort of like vibrate in pain, like it's still alive. Go ahead.
At this point, I feel like at this point, like I'm like, let's see what's in the room that's not that rack of pain. Oh, a living hand being used to pick someone's teeth. I just sort of look down at my feet, like,
Yeah.
At which point I see the floor has living faces on it.
No, the floor has like grooves, so that like if blood were to be spilled, it would like fall into the grooves.
I see. Oh God, I've seen Hellraiser.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is basically like Hellraiser, the living room.
You summoned me. I came.
There's maybe like 100 Drucharii in this room, just hanging out.
Meanwhile, Lyra is probably fucking enjoying everything because she hasn't had any Drucharii levels of torture or suffering around her in a while.
Yeah, she looks great.
How old is she, out of curiosity? Because Drucharii live extremely long, even by Eldar standards.
I'm really not sure, but she's probably like way older than you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's a true-born witch, so she's like all the Drucharii look. You know, they've got that like that I'm immortal sort of elvish glow about them, right? Mm-hmm. But she is like on another level because she actually has a soul.
Really?
Yeah.
So she looked like normal when she was on the Blackstone. She's been away from this society for so long. But like the longer that she's in this building, the more like beautiful and terrible she becomes. And it doesn't take very long. It's like very quick transformation. You can see like her musculature has like doubled. If she like flexed her muscles right now, she'd probably like explode out of her outfit. You know,
every time I look back, she looks progressively more like full and like, you know, full of life. And then it's like, Jesus, like every time I look back, it's like, were you always like that? When did that happen?
Oh, 5 seconds ago.
Like she has like her hair is down to like her waist now. And it's like a shiny black color instead of like the sort of drab blackness that it was before.
I do think that in the original art that our old GM used for Ira, that she did have short hair before.
Oh
yeah.
A thought occurs to me. I look at Ira and then sort of I have like that thought in the back of my head. I'm like, you're not gonna leave, are you? I don't like say anything or like try and transmit that thought through features. Like it's tucked in the back of my head. You're not gonna leave, are you? Like you're gonna stick behind and stay here with them, aren't you? Or like you're gonna rat me out so that you can stay here, aren't you? Like, I'm suddenly very concerned about Ira, and I don't trust her anymore.
You see like a hunger in her eyes as she like looks at these like Drucharii like lounging around all day, like just absorbing the emotion. You know?
I'm not saying that's gonna happen or that should happen. I'm just saying Saphar is afraid that might happen. He's concerned that two of those things might happen, and he gets the idea. I might have to either slip out of here at the best opportunity once I've fulfilled my mission. Like, I might have to leave without announcing it, or possibly even make a break for it. Might have to fight.
Yeah.
I just remembered the name of the things. They're chandeliers on the ceiling.
Chandelier.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember candelabra, but not chandelier. Okay.
Yeah, I just like my brain couldn't like say one without remembering the other one.
The way the human brain functions is an enigma. I don't care what science says.
I've been writing a grant all week, so my brain is literally like pudding.
Fried.
Yeah. I basically like hear it sloshing around in there when I move my head around at the moment.
Oh god.
So,
Yeah, I suppose
that's a good art. Yeah. So she still has that like shock of like white in her black hair, but it's like all the way down to her waist now. And she doesn't have like a slouchy sort of stance. Like she is like full upright position, you know.
I see.
Yeah. And then like the hunger in her eyes is replaced with more of like a craving, you know. And the satellite takes you to like a grand staircase, and takes you up the staircase into a like a drawing room sort of. It's got like a bunch of couches and hookah and food and drink, and he says, "The Archon will be with you shortly," and like closes the door and like leaves you in this like large drawing room that is probably in another dimension beyond the webway. You're not sure.
Am I alone in the room?
There's Ira there.
I see.
There's a large window, and outside the window is a like black hole absorbing like a solar system.
Well, I immediately thought, I'm like, okay, now that we're alone in this room, I need to take stock of potential exit strategies in case I need one. I look at the window, never fucking mind. I'm gonna sit tight.
Yeah, you're not really sure where this was being projected from, or if you're in real space in this room, or if it's like a trick of the light. But that
Whatever
black hole definitely looks very far away, and definitely is absorbing this solar system. And you can like, there's like a low level of agony coming through the window. There's like a low level of this like drug of emotion as the dark hole is like crumbling a planet in the distance. Ira like goes to one of the sofas and lays down and like sighs. And then she pours herself like a cup of like this like extremely pungent wine and says, well, we might as well enjoy ourselves.
No, I don't think I will. I'm not enjoying this at all.
Please.
And then I give her a pointed look, like with my shining green eyes. You know, here's the thing. Eldar can sort of control a lot of things about their own physiology, so I make sure to sort of really focus my eyes to make sure they're piercing, and then say, do not lose sight of the reason we are here and where we have to go back to.
Yes. But we should at least enjoy the food and the wine. She takes like a big sip of the pungent wine. She like pours you a glass and like slides it across the table to where you're standing, and it like stops in front of you.
Here's the thing. I don't want to be rude because I don't want to complicate the situation, and I know I don't want to make Ira mad at me. I know I need her on side, so I'm going to hold it, swirl it, observe it for a considerable amount of time, smell it, and then take a sip. I'm very tentative about this. I'm not just going to pound it back. Also, I don't want to get drunk.
It's strong. It's insanely flavorful. And there's something about it that also like calls to you as you sniff it.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna give you one more to all your stats. And then I'm going to need you to make another difficulty 1 corruption check.
I really need to stop touching things in this giant place.
Your common sense of decency to not be a poor guest is causing you corruption checks.
Remember that you get +2 dice for this because you have +2 to all of your stats.
1 second. I need to reload the page quick. For some reason, it's not letting me click the corruption thing.
Yeah, add an extra 2 dice to the test as well.
Yeah, 2 dice, not to difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah, for some
Actually,
reason...
make it difficulty 2 this time. So difficulty 1.
Difficulty... It's not letting me click the corruption thing. Oh, wait, that's...
Click conviction and then...
Conviction and corruption.
Fuck, I was trying to click corruption.
Yeah.
Difficulty, which one?
And then set your dice pool to 5 and difficulty 2.
So, difficulty 2... Not difficulty 21. Difficulty 2, dice pool 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, fuck.
Do you want to reroll or do you want to fucking...
It doesn't like... It's not going to be like an immediate, like, your corrupted thing. It's just, like, you're going to take a corruption point.
What is having 1 corruption point do?
Not
Nothing.
much other than having 1 corruption point.
Except when you get to 4.
When you get to 5. When you get to 5, you roll for mutation.
Well, you're not gonna have to roll for a mutation. It'll be like an Eldar, like a Dark Eldar trait thing that I'll give you.
Likely, because that makes more sense for you.
Yeah. In that case, if it's just 1, I don't really see myself picking up too many more. And I'll save that reroll. How many rerolls do I have?
1 left.
1 more?
Yeah, I'll save that for if I really need it. If that number starts getting really high. For now, I'll just live with it. But for story's sake, I take a sip of the wine tentatively, and then immediately just slam back the whole thing, like involuntarily slam it back, and then I just sort of stop, a little bit shocked at myself, and then immediately put the glass back down, telling myself I am not going to have any more.
Yeah, Ira says. Well, what does Ira say, Miras? When he slams back the drink.
I'm not sure. Probably giggling a bit at how you went from being so careful to instantly chugging back the whole drink.
Like, it was like involuntary. Like, the second I tasted it, immediately I just, like, just
Yeah.
like, it's like that. Like, it was like a twinge of like corruption. I immediately put it down, slide the glass back, and sort of.
He fills it back up and slides it back over to you.
I don't touch it. Like,
she also like makes like a plate of food for you and like slides it over to you and like begins to eat.
I don't trust the food. I'm not gonna touch it. Like, I was concerned. Like, at first I was a little concerned when I could feel it. Now I'm a little bit worried about myself that I just did that with the drink. So like, I just look at her and say, I'm fine. I'm not hungry. This cat, like, trying not to be rude, just casually like, I'm fine. I'm not hungry. I'm not gonna.
He just like shrugs, I guess, and
Yeah.
I mean, goes back to eating. A little while later, a porter like sticks his head into the room and says, "The Archon will see you now," and like asks you to like come with him. So the two of you, like, she gets up off the couch, and the two of you go walking through the corridors of this spire once again. The porter takes you to like an elevator that just like immediately like teleports between floors. So you don't know what floor you're on now. Could be like floor 10,000 as far as you know. and takes you to another set of like hallways. This one it's actually like a hangar bay for like the raiders and vehicles of the fleet under her command. And there's maybe like 100 like Drucharii vehicles in this hangar.
This one I kind of enjoy. This room I kind of feel a little, I don't want to say comfortable in, but a little more at ease in. I look around and sort of take it in. Like I'm start thinking to myself, yeah, this is some pretty solid hardware. I haven't.
Yeah, so you begin thinking you're going to be at ease in here, but then you realize like hanging under all of these vehicles is like people being hung up by like chains by like under their like the skin of their backs, and so there's this constant moaning sound as these people are like barely conscious, hanging from these different vehicles of nightmare.
I thought it was like the purr of the engine because they were like idling. They were on but idling.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm like, oh, I see. I forgot where I was for a hot second.
Yeah, you're like, oh, right, evil, right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How could silly me? How could I forget?
So the porter goes through like a long like speech about the power of the Drutada's kingdom or whatever. And you see all these, you see like the strength that she's managed to build up in the short time that the two of you have been apart. What does Saphar think of this?
It's a little worrying because he knew his mom was sort of like a political schemer back on the craft world. And then I'm like, okay, well, congratulations, Mom. I see you finally getting what you wanted. It's like, and also like concerned. I'm like, there's a bit of a wonder. Like for the first time, Saphar takes a moment to think like, I wonder what my mom will look like. I'm looking at how Ira was physically changed and how that guy just basically regrew his lips in front of me. Like, what's my mom gonna look like? Especially having immersed herself in this so much. It's concerning.
Yeah. And so he takes you to the other side of the hangar, through another couple of corridors into another elevator that teleports you somewhere. It's like he's giving you a tour of the place. And eventually, he leads you up another like grand staircase to a big set of like double doors. The doors are like made out of bone, and have like the shape of like a screaming face on it, and they're like immaculately carved. The porter just sort of bows and just like gestures to the doors to the two of you.
I'm starting to become a little bit desensitized to all the shit I'm seeing. Like at first I was so unsettled and concerned, especially back in the Force, but at this point I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, yeah, the bodies, it's their thing. Oh, faces on the door, sure, whatever. It's tacky, but whatever. Like it's starting to become desensitized.
Yeah, so you throw open the doors, and there's like an arena. There's like a cheering throng of Drucharii around the outside of this arena, and in the middle there are two figures like bashing into each other. There's a like large green war boss in full like mech gear, and he's fighting against like a space marine in like a red armor.
I see.
And the crowd is cheering.
Are they using proper?
They're using proper weaponry, but they're so skilled at fighting that neither of them is putting like a blow on the other. They're just like slowly whittling each other down.
I take a moment to actually observe what's going on there. I wonder, I'm like, how did these two end up here? Like it's a fleeting thought, like, geez, I wonder how these two ended up in this shithole. Like, I look down, I see that. My eyes do linger on that because it's a proper, like, it's actually at least a fight. It's the first, like, it's not just like a horrific act of cruelty. It's at least like a fight. It's something to take my mind off of things.
Yeah. And another porter appears and takes the two of you around the edge of the ring as the two fight each other, and like the stands are like screaming. You can hear like the rev of like a chain sword. You can hear like the sound of like a power fist or a power claw like clutching down on a giant boulder as the Space Marine barely ducks out of the way and like saws it into three pieces. And they take you to like the viewing box, and there's like a large chair facing the arena from the box, and the porter like sort of, and you see your mom stand up from the chair and turn towards you. She's wearing like this magnificent like glittering gown, and she's maybe like 7.5 to 8 feet tall.
Jesus Christ.
Her fingernails are like maybe like 2 inches long, sharpened down into points.
I want to make a note. Like, I'm still at least trying to keep myself concealed as best as possible. Like, hood deep into my hood as much as possible. Hair over my eyes and whatnot, that sort of thing. Head cast down, like especially now. But I do sneak a look at it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, she was not that big before.
Yeah, she's got like, I mean, she's just gorgeous. She's like the magnificent Archon queen, having absorbed countless doses of suffering and horror, and she's obviously insanely wealthy. She has like a necklace around her neck where every single like gemstone is from like a different like subjugated planet, she's got like a bunch of Blackstone rings on her fingers, and she has this like incredibly ornate looking pistol on her hip that just like screams over the top tackiness. It's like inlaid. It's like gold inlaid with gold on top.
Oh, this thing is not meant to be shot. This thing is meant to be flexed.
And you like look at it, and like you see like halfway up there's like a glass panel, and inside is like a black hole.
Oh God, it's one of those.
And it's like swirling around with like a star that's like eating like inside the pistol. And yeah, she's just like towering over the two of you.
How far away are we from her, like physically?
Like maybe 10 feet away.
I see.
She's got like an honor guard there as well. It's a pair of other witches, and they're maybe about the same like look as Ira, but there's definitely something like wrong about them. Like they're kind of like they're like kind of melty.
Melty?
Yeah, like they've got like skin tags on their skin and stuff.
Ew.
They're definitely like cloned soldiers.
I see.
I was
Like
also
they're-
going to
they're-
say that it could be side effects from Drucharii combat drugs, because those are insane.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, like they definitely look different than
Also-
Ira, but they're about the same height.
Also, do keep in mind there's no small amount of Drucharii that are inbred, especially in some of the fringe areas of Kimura, as like some of the fringe, more bumpkin areas of Kimura, because there are those, like the farmland areas. You will find ones that are like kind of inbred, and it shows.
Possibly.
And yeah, so Drucharii, she smiles as she sees the two of you, and she says, one of my Sabalites has told me that you have come. You brought gifts in the form of nourishment for the tower.
If you take too long to say something, Ira would probably start complimenting the show or something.
I try to keep this like I try and do this thing. I know it's probably a little bit like of a juvenile maneuver. Like I try and make my voice sound scratchy and a bit of a whisper to at least try and one disguise how I sound, and two, what's it called? Try and seem at least a little bit intimidating and not, scared. Like, we come bearing gifts, but as we all know, a gift is often repaid in its own way, in time.
Okay, so you're trying to you're trying to cover up your voice and be like a little bit scratchier.
Scratchier and a bit of a whisper.
Okay, so did you make a deception check, difficulty 1?
Here's the thing. I'm trying. I feel like this could go either way because I have my hair draped over my left eye. I got my hood all the way up, and I'm speaking in this tone. It's either working or I look like a complete jackass.
Yeah.
I look like a complete
You're
jackass.
you're
You
like
look a
far overcompensating.
Yeah,
you look so hard.
You look like a complete jackass either way, but the question is
Yeah.
does she recognize you through the voice, right? So I need
Wait
you to
a
make
minute, that's
deception.
my jackass.
Yeah. Don't forget you're getting +2 to all your stats right now, so you're up to Fellowship 3.
There's a boss
roll 3 dice. I'm gonna have your fear come off from all of the energy you've been
You
gathering.
already did that.
It did a while ago. So what's my difficulty number?
Difficulty 1.
Difficulty 1. How do I set fellowship?
Just click on not leadership. Click on deception.
Oh, just deception. Okay, deception. Difficulty 1. Dice pool 3.
Yes. Because you're up to 3 fellowship now.
Oh boy,
You did succeed, at least.
You did succeed.
Oh, I did. Okay, nice.
Yeah, so for now.
I see.
And she says you've come just in time for the end of the show. Would you like to join me for a moment? And she gestures, and 2 chairs rise up, smaller chairs next to hers. And she goes back to sit, and she gestures for the 2 of you to sit next to her in the box. So Ira takes the seat closest to her.
Yeah, thank you, Ira.
And you take the seat further away.
Thank you, Ira.
And
I take the seat far away, leaning and sort of trying to have my face at a 3/4 angle away.
Yeah. So you're watching the show, which is these 2 monsters beating into each other. And she says, "So what brings a servant of the laughing god and a trueborn into my midst?"
At this point, Ira would probably be taking over for you.
Yeah,
so that you don't have to be
whatever this is. I feel like Ira's I feel like Ira's having the secondhand embarrassment, so she's like, just shut up, I'll take it from here.
Probably.
Secondhand embarrassment.
She will likely mention that it is a pretty long story if she wishes to hear it. Potential. Or let me think for a bit. Probably she'll mention that it's a pretty long story and explain slightly that there's a pretty big problem that she likely wants to hear about.
Yeah, Drucharii says, well,
because it's
we don't have much longer until the end of the show. So why don't you give me the short of it, and if I'm interested, we'll speak more after the release.
Yeah, Ida probably makes a comment that she doesn't want to meet the end of the show either, and will continue that pretty much there's some idiotic Bonkai who believes that who thinks that he can control a Catan, but she's trying to be subtle about it.
I mean, you say that word, and she like looks at you.
It's really hard to be subtle about the word Catan. It's like saying, yeah, there's a nuclear warhead under the city. It's no biggie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to spin that.
And she looks shocked. And she says, well, I had thought that the Necrons had them all under control. Is there one out and about?
I will continue to say, like, seemingly so, because this guy has been stealing psychers and bringing them to feed the Catan, and that he isn't bullshitting because he had no presence in the warp and he was just projecting himself wherever the fuck he wanted and all of that.
Well, that does sound problematic. And she's like getting really into the show, like she's like leaning in. You could see her like nostrils flare as she sees the Space Marine like take like control of the fight and like cut the orc's arm off. The orc screams in pain, and then she says, "Here it is, the finale of the show. Shh, let's watch." And then the Space Marine starts to like tear this orc like limb for limb with his chainsword, screaming as he does so. And the orc like falls to his knees and then begins to like flicker. And instead of an orc, it's another Space Marine in red armor.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh!
And the other one like drops to his knees at his fallen comrade and screams out in anguish. It's so intense. I'm gonna spend 2 ruin.
Ooh.
And Saphar, you're gonna get +2 to all your stats.
Again.
And you're gonna have to make me another conviction test, difficulty 7.
7.
Ooh. But you get add +4 to your dice pool because there's a thing where it's like
So
you're getting +4, so you have a conviction of 3 or resolve of 2 rather, because resolve it's conviction. So you have a conviction of 3, so you'll be rolling 7 dice because you have +4.
Leave the base as 3 and add 4 in the bonus pool in the dice pool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So 7 difficulty number and 7 dice.
Yeah, 7 dice total.
Okay.
Yeah.
7 successes, 3 failures.
On point.
Great.
Nice.
On point.
So you just feel like immediately invigorated. And there's like this like clawing at your soul. But you manage to pull it away from you.
Like I'm not like if I could do a little sum here. Like I'm seeing this, I feel the rush of invigoration in my body, but in my like in my soul, I feel bad for this Space Marine because I've seen something similar. I've seen people wailing over dying comrades before. Dire Avengers holding each other as they died and like screaming because they thought they could have done something better or felt responsible for the death of a comrade. And I feel for this guy, especially having been in close contact or seen proper Space Marines up close. So I actually feel for the guy, and that's kind of what snaps me out of that. The drunken wave that hits me when he dies is the morality of seeing this guy in pain and just feeling bad for him like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, doing everything I can to not show it because that would look bad in this crowd. They would probably sense my anguish, and I would like look bad.
I mean, it would. You probably still do have some anguish, like that gets released.
Yeah.
But it's like overwhelmed by like the amount of like this negative energy.
Yeah.
the Space Marine like takes his chainsword and like brings it up to his own like neck and like turns it on and tries to like sweep it through his own body, but the chainsword like disintegrates in his hands as he tries to do that. And then there's like another wave of anguish beyond that one.
Oh, I like.
Yeah.
I have a twinge of like this. I have like a twinge of an idea. Like, what if we could bargain for his life and bring him back with us? But then I'm like, no, it's not worth risking the mission. I'm like, sorry, guy, you're stuck here.
And he just begins to weep, like right there in the middle of the arena over his battle brother. You're not sure how the two of them knew each other, but obviously he knew who he was after the trick was the veil was pulled back.
But seeing that they have the same like armor, I can tell. I'm like, these two were comrades. Like it's obvious. Like you knew each other. You were on the same team.
You can see like Ira's like arms are like shaking in the wave of energy. Her skin is like covered in goosebumps. Drucharii makes like a slight moaning sound. And like falls back into her chair. And enjoys the moment.
Ira is probably getting slightly overwhelmed by all of this because it's been a while.
Yeah.
Since she's
Really
been in Drucharii. So yeah.
Yeah, she's at like full strength now. And she hasn't been at full strength in a long time.
Yeah.
It's I wait for them to sort of die down and sort of let everybody's goosebumps settle before I say in my fucking whisper scratchy voice that like, it is often said that the key to comedy is timing. As such, the laughing god waits for no soul. We should soon attend to business. The Catan hearken for us. Or like, something like that, the Catan hearken for us. We should answer.
And
On are the punchline.
it takes her a while to respond. She's obviously like very much enjoying the waves of negative energy coming off of this creature in the pit.
Is this like a movie scene? I'll have what she's having.
Yeah, pretty much. If it wasn't PG-13, I would describe this in more detail.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, which is probably why Saphar would. It's another reason why Saphar would be eager to move this on, because that is his mom, and he was right next to her.
Yeah, that's a little creepy. Yeah,
it's creepy. He's like, oh my god, I don't want to be here right now.
You might as well be walking in on your fucking parents doing you know what.
I basically walked into a fucking Eyes Wide Shut. Like, hey mom, I'm home from college early. Oh, I see. Get home early. Fucking Eyes Wide Shut.
Anyway.
So yeah, she raises from her chair as the Space Marine is like lashed to the ground and like pulled into the prisons below the arena, and she says,
I take stock of where the prison is below the arena.
Okay.
I take stock of like where that is and consider how I might need to get down there, because I'm considering every possible entrance and pathway, because I know I might need to make an escape. Especially if she realizes that I'm her son, she might not want to let me leave.
I mean, he does get pulled down through like a purple portal, so you're not really sure if it's right below the arena or if it's like 1,000 floors below the arena. You don't really know exactly, but there's some way to get from like the arena down into the prison area.
I see.
And she says, well, we will discuss this business as you attend me for dinner. I have some other business to take care of first. Please let my porter take you to some rooms where you can refresh after the entertainment. And she like doesn't even like give a curt nod or a bow or a curtsy of any way. She just walks away.
Yeah, she cannot even think
her
about
like
that.
her like extreme high heeled boots like pounding on the metal as she exits the arena.
Like 6-inch heels. Like she's like
Oh yeah.
Like 8.5 feet tall with the heels.
I mean, she probably has like a foot-sized foot, so she probably has like 11-inch heels. You know.
Oh god.
Oh god.
The thing is, that's nearly physically impossible because that would make you almost vertically upward.
Yeah. Well, you know, Drucharii are weird.
Drucharii.
So.
Yeah.
Eldar. Yeah.
Yeah, so she pounds away in her heavy boots, and yeah, the porter begins to lead you if you want to follow him.
I follow the porter. Like,
Okay.
if there's anyone who's going to give us an option to follow someone other than my mom, I will try to spend as little time around her as possible. So I will go with the porter.
Okay. So he takes you back into the elevator to an unknown floor, and there you go. Except imagine they're like a foot long.
Oh god, it's like a foot longer.
Yeah, she's huge.
Jesus Christ!
And
It was not that big when I left.
yeah, she's swollen with power. Yeah, so they take you to some rooms. There's two like right next to each other. They look exactly the same, but the porter specifically points out one for the Harlequin and one for Ira. And then like looks at the two of you expectantly.
Wait, what is it again? Sorry, my audio flickered.
You're being pointed
he
to separate
points out
rooms.
two doors to rooms, and he says, "This one is for the Harlequin, and this one is for the esteemed guest, Ira."
Oh, they like her more than me. Well, it's fair. Okay, the esteemed guest. At that, I get a little bit huffy at that, hearing yeah for you and the esteemed guest. Like, no, I'm esteemed. Fuck you.
If you only knew how esteemed I was.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm totally a full blown Harlequin. Fear me, and if you don't, then joke's on you. Ha ha.
And like, he doesn't even flinch or it doesn't even face him. Of course, sir.
Yeah. So the rooms are very nice.
Wait, before the porter leaves.
Yeah.
Before the porter, like Ira goes into her room, but like I hang back and I gently put my shoulder on this. Like, what does this porter look like? Like,
he's definitely like a lower class, like Drucharii. He's not like a warrior caste or anything. He's like designed for servitude. So he's a little bit, shrunken and small. He has a nice like outfit on. She dresses her porters well, but he's definitely like cheap stock.
I see. Like, I put a hand on his shoulder and ask him, might I trouble you to ask, where is it the prisons lead? I wonder if I might one day get a tour. Just like a side ask.
Yeah, the porter says, well, I'm sure if you asked the Archon, she would take you there. She takes all of her guests there at some point or other.
I see. I'm planning to possibly spring a few people on my way out. If I could just swipe a few of them, it's kind of a thing.
Having a couple of like super anguished space marines like charge around the castle while you escape is probably a good idea.
If I need to escape, like as a distraction, Look,
Yeah.
it's like
Look,
that one
prisoners.
fucking Dave Chappelle knocking over a pitcher of water.
Yeah.
What could have possibly let these prisoners out? Oh no, it was Fred in accounting.
Just pointed the porter. This guy looks fucking suspicious. I gotta tell you.
Okay, so we're gonna fade out on this scene while you guys go into your rooms, and then we're gonna fade back on Gizmek in his mech bay. Holtz has gone to warp back to Gilneas. What's Gizmek doing? How is he preparing for the like upcoming ultimate final battle?
Aren't we actually warping to, where we think Lord Slaughter is, or
Lord Slaughter.
I think his plan was to go to Gilneas first, because it's on the way anyway. To try to figure out where the chaos like invasions are coming from, right? Because he doesn't know where you guys don't know where Lord Slaughter is.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for what Gizmek is doing, there's probably going to be a lot of fighting on the horizon, and a lot of it's going to be space combat, much to his chagrin, because he likes getting up close and personal a little bit more, but alas, he's sort of out of options for that. So he is going to make some self-propelled rockets that he's going to be preparing for his tubes to launch at other ships. So he's strapping, basically just getting some of the armaments that they already have and strapping them with yet more explosives in preparation to be shot out at ships.
Right on. As you're sitting there working on these rockets, you hear like this like little like ticking sound, like tick, 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 like metal on metal, like very small metal, like maybe feet on maybe the deck.
Get Grismo!
You think it's Grismo, and you turn around to say hi to Grismo, but sitting there is a scarab.
What?
And it's looking at you.
I've dealt with these things before. Don't you dare eat any of my metal or I'll crump you.
It like climbs up the side of your like workbench, and then like
Hey.
tick, 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 across the workbench, and then like just sort of sits on its haunches and like looks up at you, and it's like little antennae like tick, 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 back and forth.
In Necron, very explicitly, Gizmek says, "What do you want?"
It like flips onto its back, and on its like the center of its torso, there's like a data line info jack.
Gizmek, not one to be scared of doing things most of the time, looks left and right, and then just like uses his like extension to port in.
Yeah. So so you poured in, and what like device are you using to port in? Just like a computer, or is it like
It's one my Orky built. Like, it's based on Mechanicus technology initially, but it's been Orky modified to be like my connector port for cogitators and whatnot.
Gotcha.
To be all around less reliable.
Cool.
No, to be more reliable for orcs and only orcs.
Good point.
So you plug into it, and you see like this like green light like exit the scarab and like go into this cable, and then feed. It looks like a liquid going through the cable. It's really strange looking, and it feeds into the cogitator, and the cogitator begins to like and like freak out and like bounce around a little bit, as like this like green light like spreads like and like corrupts the cogitator. Eventually it like starts to sort of fall in on itself and like start to be consumed by the light, when it stops, and there are like a visor or like a pair of goggles like left like top of the steaming cogitator. The goggles are made out of like a dark metal. It looks like they use the cogitator's like components to construct it.
Hey, you got some tricks up your sleeve. It's a good thing I wasn't using that one. Gizmek just like picks up the goggles and like examines them. He has disconnected himself at this point.
Yeah. The scarab then explodes, and little like leaves a little blast mark on the workbench, and like scatters all your tools all over the place.
Gizmek immediately turns and points at the nearest person walking by, who probably was watching this whole entire thing in awestruck
With
wonder,
awe?
and says,
Yeah.
"Yeah," and he just like points at him and says, "Pick on it up, crump you."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, yes, sir," and like he just starts to move around and put the stuff back on the
Then
bench.
Gizmek immediately turns and looks back at this set of goggles that he's suddenly obtained from this strange leftover Necron scarab. Does he, so he's like picking these up and like moving them around in his hands and examining them with his eye-enhancing tools that he uses to look at things really close up, like, aka his like one eye work magnifying glass kind of thing to inspect it.
So I'm gonna warn you guys. Half of the power in my apartment just flickered. So
Oh, I think it's the Necrons.
yeah. If I just suddenly drop offline, that's what happened. Is my power?
Okay. You have been warned. You have been warned, chat.
We'll make the rest of the session real quick, and then that'll be the end of the session, I think.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. So you have these Necron goggles. What do you do?
I'm checking to see if there's any like latent like energy signatures or stuff that they're giving off that I can inspect via whatever cogitator and stuff I have that I've made over time.
Yeah. So they've got like the green energy, but it's refusing to like exit the goggles in any way. So like if you try to like it's like weird energy. If you like try to like get to the wire and like try to like intercept the signal, the energy just like bypasses your intersection.
Gizmek looks at it for a moment, then just sort of shrugs. If you go and do anything funky, the cork in my forehead will stop it from getting in my thoughts. And he just puts it on.
Yeah. So it's like a message from the Necron Lord.
You basically just plugged a fucking iPhone 12 into a Commodore 64 to see what happens.
Yes.
And it's working.
It says that he appreciated the negotiations from before, and he wished to leave you with a gift of knowledge from the Necron tier. And that, the deal will be maintained, and his forces are ready to move.
Oh, cool. There's got to be some fighting going on.
Yeah, like the message ends, and it's just like a Necron like encyclopedia for like various like crazy gadgets and weird things.
Out of character, you have no idea what kind of can of worms you've just opened up for Gizmek.
Oh, I know what can of worms I've opened. Like the first design you see is for scarabs that have some sort of like psychic ability.
Oh no!
Oh god.
And it just says like mind control scarabs.
Oh no!
Oh god.
So
What have you done?
You've got like a little like mini armory in these goggles that he's provided.
Fucking Gizmek probably knows more about Necron technology and the Necron language than the entire like Xeno Archivist
Imperium
of Mechanicus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He knows more about the Necron than literally anybody except for Necron.
Any living being.
Yeah, it's all because I was fucked around and subsequently found out in a arguably positive sense. It's just a matter of what it
Literally fucked around and found out so much.
So now
There is a
Go ahead.
slight warning on the goggles that to not let anybody else getting this artifact or use this artifact.
And that's pretty easy to do. Gizmek will subsequently, can he see normally through these goggles?
No. They're like 3D goggles.
Okay,
An
so...
Oculus Rift.
Yeah, they're like an Oculus Rift.
All right. So Gizmek basically gets to work making a headband for himself that, first off, helps keep the fucking wine cork in his forehead, because that's very important, super important. Prevents people from getting in his thoughts.
Yeah.
And letting his thoughts leak out, so he remembers everything now. He is going to make this headband out of scrap metal and stuff, and probably something stolen from somebody on the ship at some point that they're going to very explicitly see and not be able to do anything about. And it's going to be a means of like having multiple different eyepieces on it, so like different things that you can flip up and down to go through.
Yeah.
And this Necron one is going to be the first one he attaches.
The when the scarab exploded, it when it scattered all of its pieces everywhere. The guy you like commanded to pick everything up puts everything back on your table and then like takes like it looks like a green cylinder that's glowing, and he just like puts it down on the center.
Yeah, like, get the hell out of here, Gizmek says, like, half paying attention and waving him away.
So you have, like, a small Necron energy source, but, like, some of this technology in here will require, like, a much larger, like, version of that.
Gizmek looks around, and then finally, like, after a good 10 minutes of whacking this headpiece together, he finally actually notices the energy source. And he's just like, hey, damn, that's pretty green. As all y'all know, green is the best. Just picks it up and holds it. Probably burns his hand slightly and just like hot potatoes in his hands for a second before setting it down again.
It's not hot. Like the
it
energy
isn't,
stays inside like on its own. Like the energy itself has like a consciousness.
I'm pretty sure both of your arms are machine anyways, or bionics.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but still.
Yeah.
Actually,
it is funny to see him like hot potato this Necron like rod, you know.
Yeah, but it realistically wouldn't happen if it's not hot. He's just like picking it up and like looking around in different ways, pulls out his magnifying glass and stares harder into the energy source, which is exactly like staring into the sun, but he's an orc, so he doesn't care.
So we're gonna end the session here. We'll finish up the Drucharii thing next time. And we'll finish up more stuff with Lord Slaughter and Gizmek and Holtz and Sator next time as well.
Yeah. So we'll try to finish off.
And hopefully it won't be storming next week with a hurricane.
Yay.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe my power won't flicker. We'll see.
Yep. Take care of yourself. Thank you, everyone, for coming by. I hope you've enjoyed our slightly shorter, but very obviously ended for a good reason session. And take yourself a good weekend and enjoy the rest of October here on Unlucky Rolls.
See you guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Necron Orktober.
Necron Orktober.
Oh god.